Joining us for a conversation is Scott Petzel of Metallic Minerals. Mr. Petzel, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Maurice. It's always great to be here.
Well, great to have you back on the program as Metallic Minerals has just released breaking news to the market announcing that Newcrest Mining, one of the world's largest mining companies, has just completed a $6.3 million strategic investment into Metallic Minerals. Mr. Petzel, first and foremost, congratulations. This is a significant milestone for shareholders.
It really is, and we're really quite excited about this. I think it's something that is really going to help propel the company forward.
Before we get into the details of today's transaction, for someone new to the story, please introduce us to Metallic Minerals and the exciting opportunity the company presents to shareholders.
Well, Maurice, I'll simply say that Metallic Minerals is a Vancouver-based precious and base metal exploration company with key assets in North America. We're focused on bringing resources to the table to help support the green energy transition that the company's going through, the country's going through, and we're doing great work both in Canada and the U.S.
Now, Mr. Petzel, take us to your boardroom. Everyone wants to know about the exciting details of today's transaction. Let's just start at the genesis. Share with us how this transaction came to fruition.
Well, if I might take just a second here and talk about the Plata project and how it's come about. You know, Spanish explorers found silver, gold, and telluride minerals in the district in the 1700s. Prospectors and small mom and pop operators mined on those veins from 1850s to 1940s. And then after the war, the major companies came in, Rio Tinto and Phelps Dodge, who is now Freeport-McMoRan. And they realized there was copper in the center of the district, and they explored for about 20 years, and the copper price never improved. So those projects were deprioritized, and the district sat empty for about 50 years until we acquired the project in 2019 and went about systematically exploring and trying to develop resources on the backs of the work that was done by those major companies. So in 2022, we announced our inaugural resource of nearly 1 billion pounds of copper at a 0.39% copper equivalent grade with 15 million ounces of attendant silver. Following that announcement in April of 2022, we drilled 2 deep holes to work towards extending mineralization that is defined by that resource, that inferred mineral resource. And fortunately, we hit one really big hole, 816 meters at 0.41% copper equivalent with some extremely high grades at depth and great precious metal grades. The last meter or so ran 5% copper, 50 grams of silver, 5 grams of platinum, 5 grams of palladium, and 0.5 gram of gold. So really spectacular high-grade numbers. We announced those numbers to the public in February 28th of 2023. Shortly thereafter, went to the Prospectors and Developers Association of Canada convention in Toronto. And at that convention, following the announcement on this drill hole, we saw a lot of interest from many major companies in terms of trying to understand what it was we had drilled and whether it was going to have any legs. So we had a number of conversations through March. Newcrest was one of those companies that came by multiple times and saw the drill core that we had brought to Toronto, and we developed our conversations from there. They liked the work that we were doing. We liked Newcrest as a company, and were able to make a deal. But kudos to them for really recognizing the value of what we've done at La Plata and seeing that there's value going forward.
Speaking of make a deal, please walk us through the details of the transaction.
Yeah, well, it's a 9.5% equity investment, brings in about $6.5 million into the company. There are warrants that are priced at 55 cents that are valid for 3 years that could eventually bring another over $6 million investment to get Newcrest up to roughly a 15.5% total investment. There are also pro rata rights for Newcrest and an accelerator clause on the warrants. So it's really a good deal. and allows us to interact with them as we go forward through the formation of a technical committee.
Now, looking at the broader picture, how will this strategic investment impact Metallic Minerals?
Well, I think just that, the fact that we have a company like Newcrest who has a specialty in these types of mineral systems, these porphyry copper deposits, and specifically a subclass of porphyry copper deposits called the alkaline porphyry copper systems. These systems, like La Plata, are very similar to what Newcrest is mining in Australia at the Cadia Ridgeway deposit and in British Columbia at the Red Chris deposit. And so their experience in these deposits, the style of deposit, is really going to benefit us through the sharing of information on this technical committee. The other part of that is they're experts in block cave mining, and we see the La Plata eventually being looked at more seriously as a block cave mine, and they're just really good at it. So through the formation of the technical committee, which we have our first informal meeting this afternoon, we'll be able to share information that's really going to help propel Metallic to advance the project.
Now, with Newcrest's attention on the La Plata project, how does this investment help La Plata advance?
Well, the key thing right now is that we had this hot hole in 2022. We need to follow up and really work towards defining the high grade that we've seen at the end of the hole. If you'll remember, that hole ended in mineralization and really high grade mineralization. So what we need to do is drill around that to extend that mineralization, to understand the true depth and width of the intercept, and to build resources from those new holes. So there'll be perhaps a two-phase drill program. First phase focused on half a dozen holes, or around 5,000 meters of drilling roughly, that will help answer some questions and advance the project towards an increase in resources as we progress the drilling.
I hope this isn't too forward-looking, but what is the proposed work that you plan to have completed on the La Plata, and when can we expect news flow? I understand that you have a meeting, your first meeting today with them.
Well, in the short term, we're planning on announcing a resource expansion or resource update from the drilling that we did in 2022. And that should be forthcoming in the next month or so. And then an announcement regarding the start of the field campaign, which we expect to be sometime in June. And then as we go forward, results from that drilling as soon as we can get the results in and get them corralled and out to the public.
Now, does this transaction with Newcrest Mining shift the focus primarily onto La Plata, or does Metallic Minerals still consider the Keno Silver Project one of two flagship projects?
I think we'd have to say it's still one of two key flagship projects. It is interesting, though, when you look at the in situ value of the resource at La Plata and, the potential for resources, or the resources that exist in the district at Keno, and there is a disparity there, but we believe we have the wherewithal to push both projects along or advance both projects towards their ultimate goals, and they both bring significant value to our company, as Keno really is a significant or world-class high-grade silver district that is in its own right very prominent.
It certainly is. And speaking of the Keno Silver Project, what are the latest developments there, and what can we expect in terms of news flow?
We had a significant drill program in 2022, and right now we're still modeling up that information that was received from the exploration last year, with the intent of announcing a inaugural resource for the project sometime in 2023, and are hoping to have a robust drill program or exploration field program sometime later in the summer.
And in closing here with your projects, Metallic's alluvial or placer gold mining royalty business is unique in the sector, and you've partnered with a celebrity miner from Discovery Channel's Gold Rush program. Walk us through that and provide us with any updates from there.
Well, I'll just mention that celebrity miner. His name is Parker Schnabel, and he's the star, arguably the star of Gold Rush TV on the Discovery Channel. It's not only shown in North America, but I think in many districts around the world. And he's quite a force. He's a serious miner. They dramatize the show. He's a serious miner. He's won environmental awards. He is planning. He basically tapped out the ground that he had and needed new ground. So we've struck a deal with him. It's a royalty agreement. And this year, he's planning on mining between 5,000 and 10,000 ounces of gold from our ground, and we'll receive a 10 to 15% royalty from that production, which means $1 million to $2 million of income for Metallic Minerals to help pay back office expenses or support exploration on either of the projects.
Now, will Metallic Minerals be recognized on the program as far as banners and your team?
It's yet to be fully determined, but we're working on ways to capitalize on this agreement. And Parker's a great guy, so we'll see how things go.
Well, that would be some great marketing there for you. All right. Leaving the project site, let's look at some numbers. Mr. Petzel, please provide us with the capital structure for Metallic Minerals.
Yeah, we've got 151 million shares issued and outstanding, 172 fully diluted, $7.5 million in the bank right now with no debt. And our shareholder makeup has recently changed with the addition of Newcrest at 9.5% ownership. We also have our largest single investor, Eric Sprott, who is a silver bug, you may know, at 14.5%. And then the insiders and management own 17%. So really clean balance sheet, really well supported, and ready to move forward on our next field programs.
In closing, sir, what would you like to say to shareholders?
Well, I think it's just a really unique proposition here with the idea of a junior Vancouver, Canadian listed junior company that's got a sub $50 million market cap with two key projects, having just drilled one of the biggest holes in the copper space in North America in the last several years, and royalty income. You just don't see that too often. And so I think now is a really good opportunity to take a good look at Metallic Minerals and perhaps join along for the ride, because before the pandemic, we've had a stock price of over $1, and that was before we did anything at La Plata, before we had our royalty production agreement, and before our pending inaugural resources at Keno. So there's a lot of room to ride here, and we're looking for people to come and join along.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that was $1.30. That
$1.30.
Price. Yes, yeah. If I'm not mistaken. But let's just keep it simple, ladies and gentlemen. Newcrest Mining just invested $6.3 million at 40 cents, and the close at today's share price was at 35 cents. The math is simple. It's on sale. It's on sale. All right. Mr. Petzel, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Wishing you and Metallic Minerals the absolute best, sir.
Thank you.
The information presented on Proven and Probable is provided for educational and informational purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. The information is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice, or any other advice. You should not make any financial, investment, or trading decision based on any of the information presented without first undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional broker or competent financial advisor.